Welcome to the Matrix from the principal sponsors of CyberIsle 2023, which I think I said earlier, Riela, Cyber and Balasala. I've since been informed they've actually moved to Douglas now as well, so apologies for that. Lee Wangenheim and William Wright.
Thank you very much.
Chaps. Thank you. Right. Guessing that'll be your one.
Yep.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning. I guess afternoon now, huh? So my name is Lee Wangenheim. I am the principal Red Team Offensive Security Engineer at Riela. We haven't fully formalized the title yet, but I basically hack companies, and I think about how to hack companies. That's my job, that's my passion. It's pretty much all I do in my spare time and drives my wife insane. William here is another one of our Red Teamers. He's been really gracious to join me on this talk. However, William, for this talk, I'm gonna have you put on a blue team hat, and you're gonna be owning a company for me.
So. Yes, this is a role play, but not the kind that you're thinking of.
Yes. So with that being said, welcome to the Matrix. So in cybersecurity, we talk a lot about red and blue teams. This talk will kind of demystify a little bit of that. A lot of us come from a military background, given that in times past, the military was really at the forefront of the cybersecurity space, kind of still are, but when we get out of the military, we tend to end up somewhere in security. And we're either red team, which is the attacking side, or blue team, which is the defending side. So let's talk a little bit about your company here, William.
Yeah, so as you can tell, I'm Manx. And we...
So am I, by the way.
And we run Isle Rev Motor Shop Limited. We're a motorcycle shop. We build bikes and we service bikes for people coming over for the TT. And fortunately, we have decided to go onto the internet. I have a nice, fancy new website that my nephew spent an entire evening writing. And it is the best thing I've ever seen. And he tells me that it's super cool and super secure.
Well, I mean, if your nephew built it, it's got to be secure, right?
Yeah.
You didn't think to hire a web development company?
That's expensive. You
know, there's a couple on the island that we could maybe recommend. But. So what are some red flags here? This is what we see a lot of times. It's a small company that needs an internet-facing presence, right? They don't necessarily have the budget for a security program. They don't know what a security program needs to have. They don't even really understand what technology you need to bring into your shop to support security. So this is just a little bit more background on this Isle Rev Motor Shop, but William gave a great introduction. So what do we do on the Red Team? So we attack you. I am the guy that comes in and hacks you and then tells you how I hacked you, and then hopefully we fix it by the time the actual hackers have the time to come get it. We're starting to see, you know, I'm sure you've seen all the talks earlier today and you know, many more to come. We're seeing a huge uptick in cybercrime, and it's opportunistic. It's using automated tools that are crawling the internet, looking for these easy, quick wins to further their financial goals. So my job as a red teamer is to come in and help a company out. So the first step we typically start with is an asset registry, because you don't know, if you don't know what's on your network, you don't know how to protect it, right? As Kurt had mentioned in his talk, you know, we had just recently helped a company who had a ransomware event, which was derived from a computer that was in a closet that the company didn't even know was really there. It wasn't looked after. If you don't know about that piece of equipment, you don't know to patch it. There's vulnerabilities. Bad guys can get in. So once we get the asset registry, I come in and I do vulnerability scanning. That's going to be using automated tools. There's tons of them all over the internet. Some of them are paid, some of them are not. But we run a scan. It's looking for known exploits, known vulnerabilities that are inside your websites, your infrastructure, all of that. Once we get that, we do the vulnerability analysis piece. And this is really what kind of separates hiring a MSSP from just running the tool yourself. I've been doing this a long time. William's been doing it for much longer than I have. And when we see this day in and day out, we kind of have that knowledge and that basis to kind of be able to walk back and say, is this really a threat? The tool says this is a critical finding. Is it? Probably not. Or maybe it is, or maybe it's what the tool says is a low finding, but we know for a fact that there's a Russian group that just started using this attack vector just yesterday. Penetration testing is kind of a step beyond that. That's where I'm going to use what I find in that vulnerability scan and then try and exploit that. I'm looking for as many holes as I can find against your perimeter. So essentially you've built up a wall, and I'm going to throw as many sticks and stones and see what holes I can find in that wall. Social engineering, we see a lot. We've gotten really, really good at securing systems and networks in the last 10 to 15 years. What we haven't really done a great job at is securing people. People are always going to be your weakest link. Anytime social engineering, or any of the major hacks you see are typically going to start with some sort of a social engineering attack, whether it be phishing or somebody making a phone call. It could be somebody putting on a high-vis vest and walking in saying, I'm from Minx Utilities, and I need to take a look at your server room, right? And you give them access into that room, and now they plug in a bunch of implant devices.
I'm laughing because I've actually done that.
Yes.
Quite a few times. With the Minx Utilities high-vis.
It's high-vis, and like a hard hat and a clipboard will get you in almost any company in the world. It works because we rely on the implicit trust, and especially in an environment like the Isle of Man, where physical security isn't as much of a concern, right? So it's exploiting that human trust, that nature of humans to help and kind of going after those. Red teaming engagement is the final step in that, and quite frankly, a lot of companies aren't ready for a red team engagement. A red team engagement is when you have a fully secure security program, you've had penetration tests, you've had vulnerability and patch management. This is no holds barred, gloves are off, you give me 3 months and I pretend I'm a hacker, I try and stay hidden, I come in, you don't know when I'm coming, I don't tell you what I'm doing, and I see as far and as deep as I can get. Typically, we'll have an objective-based thing in a red team, so whereas a penetration test, I'm looking for as many holes as I can find. On a red team engagement, I'll say, what are your crown jewels? If it's customer data, is it credit card information? If you're a manufacturing plant, is it your CAD files, things like that. And I'll see if I can get into that specific thing. I'm not looking for as many holes as I can. I'm looking for the one hole that gets me in to that system. William and I have been doing this, like I said, quite a bit. We're pretty good at it. Success rate on red team engagements is high. And it's because if you give a dedicated attacker enough time and enough motivation, they're going to get in. You can patch against things. You can think that everything is secure. However, attackers will always find that one weakness, and just by the very nature of connecting a system to the network or to the internet, you're making a vulnerability. You're making it vulnerable because other computers can talk to it, and if other computers can talk to it, attackers can use it. So that's where the blue team comes in, which we'll talk about in a minute. But let's see. William, let's see this website.
It's really cool.
It's really, really cool?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so I'll show you a typical, this is a little bit of a contrived thing. So, okay.
10 out of 10. 5 stars.
10 out of 10,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
I mean, this is an amazing website.
Yep.
So you can see, oh, there's an admin login page.
What are you doing there?
Oh, yeah. So this is William logging in as his admin user. And you can see there's some valuable customer information in there, right?
Yeah, well, how else am I going to take payments?
Well, exactly. Now, what happens if I type or 1 equals 1 in here, which is what we call a SQL injection? I can completely bypass your admin login.
I need a word with my nephew.
And now I'm in. So maybe have a chat with your nephew.
Yeah.
Because it's that easy on a lot of times. If you don't hire the right people, if you don't build websites securely, this is that easy. It's a stream that everybody, when you first learn to hack, that's like the first hack that you learn to do. And there's automated tools. So you have attackers that run automated tools against any website they can find. And when they get a hit, then they're like, okay, now what can I do with it? And how can I use that? How can I pivot that into furthering my financial goals? So, Riela, we also have a blue team side, right? As most companies will. What does the blue team do? They protect against William and myself. It's pretty much an adversarial relationship, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a competition. We're very competitive individuals, right? I like to win. When I'm on an engagement, I like to get that win so that when I write the report, I can say, I got you, I hacked you. Blue team's entire job is to prevent that from happening. And blue team is evolving rapidly. We're starting to see things like Splunk and Elasticsearch and log files, because it used to be to secure a website, you throw an antivirus on the computer, maybe a firewall, done, right? Well, now you have to go to more of an assumed breach thing where you're looking at behavioral patterns of a user. Because I'm on a red team, I'm not going to be using tools that are loud and noisy that set off these Splunk alerts. I'm going to guess your password, because if you have 1,000 employees in your company, one of them is using a password of, what is it, still September? So fall 2023, one of them is using that password. Guarantee it. Autumn, sorry. That's the Manx in me, right? But yeah, autumn 2023 with an exclamation point. One of them is using that if you have over 1,000 people in your company and you enforce a 30-day password reset. Or a 90-day password reset. It works. So how do you prevent against that? You start looking for things like, why is my accountant logged in at 2 in the morning running a bunch of PowerShell scripts? Why is this person who works in finance accessing HR databases in the middle of the night? Why is there somebody trying to create a new user on this system that should not have a new user created? So the blue team is incredibly important. And quite honestly, their job is way harder than what William and I do. I have to be right once on an engagement. They have to be right every single time. Not just from me, but from the actual threat actors who are still, by the way, operating while I'm on my engagement, still trying to hack you while you're actively being hacked by companies that you've paid to hack you. So blue team, highly, highly undervalued, highly underrated, cannot recommend enough. If you don't have the budget for a blue team, you can hire it out. Riela, we provide 24/7 SOC monitoring for companies, and we can handle all of this for you. And really, because if you try and do it yourself and you're the finance director and you're also trying to manage your IT budget, it becomes a full-time job trying to manage the blue team and this and worry about that. And also, oh, did we patch these systems? It's just too much for any one individual to handle. You need 24/7 monitoring, first off, and then you also need that that kind of expertise that comes with just the years and years of experience in the field. And I don't know, William, do you want to take off your Isle Rev hat and say
Come
a
back
little?
to being a Scottish guy.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the blue team really is completely underrated. Like these guys have the weight of the world on their shoulder. And trying to bring that in-house can be a massive problem. It's a huge financial cost, and it can just be a regulatory and risk nightmare. So that's why you'll see a lot of businesses now outsourcing Blue Team, literally to offload the risk onto somebody else and just handling it that way. It's a significantly easier way to run the defense side of cybersecurity.
You know, and the other thing that I always bring up is, okay, you have the budget to either hire it out, or you have a budget to hire in 3 or 4 Blue Team employees, right? Well, those 3 or 4 Blue Team employees, they need holiday, they're gonna get sick, their kids are gonna miss school. Now that's a you problem if they're on your staff. If it's on my staff, it's a me problem, and we make sure that we have the staff to cover that. So we've hired out more than that 3 or 4. We have 20 on our SOC that we can have 24/7 coverage, so that you're not worried, oh, you know, Jim hasn't taken a holiday in 2 years, we need to get him his 2 weeks break, and then all of a sudden he leaves. And there's a rule in cybersecurity: the second a very important person takes holiday, there will be an incident. It's an absolute guarantee something's going to break, you're going to get ransomware. It's how it happens. It's Murphy's Law.
That genuinely happened a few weeks ago. I was on holiday and there was a P1, and I'm standing in the beach on a P1 call with my knees in the water. There's saws, there's been nothing for months.
Yeah.
And then just as soon as I got to the beach, P1.
Every time, without fail. All right, so you hired a company, right?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Back to being Mike's.
Yeah. Sorry.
I have paid a web development company who specialises in secure websites. And they have told me everything is fine, and now our business is completely secure, and you won't get our card details.
I will not get the card details. Well, let's see. All right.
It looks much better now.
The website definitely looks about the same. Let's see if it acts the same. So let's see. You're going to your admin login. Oh, that's different. It looks like no CSS got applied. All right, so you put in your username and password, and oh, look, you get an MFA code. Now, this is contrived for this talk. This would be sent either via text message or an email. But you can see now that's secured through MFA. Having hired a company that knows the security, knows how to build that, creates a secure session, now my attack's not going to work, because even if I guess your password, I'm not going to have that MFA code, because it's not going to spit out on the page. It's going to send it to the known email or text it to the phone. Right? So MFA, we talk a lot about in cybersecurity. It is very important. It's the #1 way to stop phishing attacks currently. I used to work for a company, and we did only social engineering. The only thing we did was send phishing emails and call people up pretending to be other companies and try and get information, or go in with a high-vis vest, right? We were going to a conference in Las Vegas, and as you do, you start shipping lots of stuff to Las Vegas because it was easier to buy it from Amazon. So we would buy it on Amazon and have it shipped to Vegas, then try and ship it from our company headquarters, like tables and chairs and all the stuff you need for a conference, right? My boss, who again was the head of company that all we did with social engineering, was getting ready to get on a plane, and he got an email saying there was a problem with your Amazon order. Click here, sign in, and update your delivery details. Well, he knew we'd been ordering a bunch of stuff from Amazon. We knew we were shipping it to one of the Vegas hotels, and he legitimately, it hit him at the right time. Getting on an airplane, it's chaos. What boarding group am I in? Am I in group 3? Which line? So he clicked it, went in, gave his Amazon information, and by the time his plane landed in Las Vegas, they had run up $20,000 on our company credit card. Not our company credit card, his company credit card. But he wrote the book on phishing and social engineering, and if he can fall for it, anybody in this room can fall for it. So you're not immune. If the right lure and the right response elicit, if the right thing hits you at the right time, you're going to click that link and you're going to give it the information. So MFA, great. Being that this is a Matrix theme talk, unfortunately for you, I know Kung Fu. So this is kind of a little showstopper that we put in. So this is, you use O365 for your...
Yeah, Office 365. Like
Office
everybody.
365, right? Pretty typical for a small business. You pay Microsoft 10 quid a month, you get email addresses and all of that, right? So here's your login information. I don't typically recommend keeping your password in a plain text file, but it's probably if an attacker gets it. But for purposes, you can see that's a strong password. I'm not guessing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like somebody just mashed a bunch of keys on a keyboard.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Let the cat walk across.
Yep.
Yeah. Or the haggis, as you will. So we'll see, this is you logging in on your Outlook account. Did that play?
Doesn't look like it. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go. All right, so we go over to, and as you can see, that's not exactly IOREV. So somebody might have sent you this link to log in, and it's IISLE Rev.
Yeah, I got an email saying I need to log in.
Yeah. And so you log in, and this is your Microsoft login portal, right? You have 2FA enabled, right? Yeah, Microsoft phone app, right? So you log in, get the Microsoft Authenticator. This is legit, right? So you get the push notification.
Yep.
Eventually, when it comes to your phone,
after 10 minutes.
Yeah, the Minx Telecom got wait for it. So you don't want to stay signed in. That's good practice. And you're logged in on your email, and nothing shady here. You're on your inbox, right?
That looks normal to me.
Yeah, it looks completely normal. The only thing is a little bit of a fishy website right there, right?
No, that looks legit.
That looks legit. Yeah, the IO. So we can see we're logged in as IOREV. Now, what if I told you I sent you that email? Oh, home alone face, right? So you can see we're logged in. That's a legitimate thing. So here's my computer. You got to have the hacking background, right? It's got to be black. I always wear a black hoodie when I do this kind of work too, by the way.
In the darkness.
Yeah. So I'm using a tool here called Evil Jinx. And as you can see, I've set up a website called IOREV with 2 eyes. And I use this tool, and it essentially takes the legitimate Microsoft login page and serves it to you through my website. That creates a man in the middle, which means I control all of the data that goes in and out of that Microsoft login portal from IOREV with 2 eyes.com. So I send you that link and say, hey, problem with your order, gotta click login. So you go ahead and do that. You get your multi-factor authentication. And while I'm sitting here waiting, I've sent the fish, and I'm waiting for you to click the link. And I can see you've clicked, and all authorization tokens have been intercepted. What does that mean? It means I can steal what's called your session cookie. So when you click when you log into a website and says, do you want to stay logged in? And you say yes, it creates basically a text file that gets stored in your browser. This has all of the information that says that you are you when you're talking to Microsoft. So if that says you are you, and I can just copy that and open up my own browser, and I go over to the Microsoft login portal, the legitimate login portal, not IOREV, and you can see I'm not logged in currently. It's a little bit choppy, but and so then I take this session cookie and import it into my browser on the legitimate login site.
And all the time, you don't see anything on the other side.
Yeah, you're not seeing any of this. These are happening simultaneously, by the way. You are only seeing your inbox. You're not seeing any of this. So then I've now imported the session cookie, and now I go ahead and hit the inbox link. And after a quick refresh, quick relative term, now I'm you. Logged in as a user using multi-factor authentication. He didn't even have to type his password in. I don't need his password. I got the multi-factor authentication push. I captured his session token. Now I'm logged in as him. This will beat multi-factor authentication, what, 9 times out of 10 typically works. There's not really a good way to prevent this other than when you got that link, had you just checked for that 2 eyes, probably don't click those links in the future.
The type-of-Scotland domains are really convincing 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And probably, yeah, very, very many people fall for that.
Yeah. One thing I like to do is the characters that look like a normal character. So there's like an italic E or like a Cyrillic K or so I can register that domain and it looks identical in the URL bar, so you can't tell. And then I give it outlook.whatever.com and you think it's legit and log in, and now I'm you. We're seeing this in the wild. In fact, we got an email last week from Rob, our CEO. He sent me one saying, hey, I got this email. This doesn't look right. Thankfully he did, because I started doing some analysis and it was this attack. It was trying to elicit an O365 login. It's in the wild. Microsoft could fix it, and the problem is this is something for the developer of the website that's using the multi-factor authentication to fix, which means it's a Microsoft problem, which means you can't really prevent it as an organization other than to educate your individuals, which is why the red teaming portion is very important past that penetration test, because a penetration test isn't going to find things like this. It's not going to attack the humans. It's not going to attack that illicit trust. So, it's all about building from that ground level up to prevent against these more sophisticated attacks. But if you're not even ready and you have that website that your nephew built, you're nowhere near ready to defend against this kind of a threat. So our purpose and our goal is to get companies to start thinking about security from the ground up and just start. You have to start. I know it's intimidating a lot of times, but you have to start that program and start taking those baby steps to get yourself through to the next level. And then you just keep incrementally, it's a spectrum, and it never stops. The second you think you've stopped the latest attack, you'll read Hacker News and there's a new attack that's come out. And especially with state actors getting more and more involved with unlimited budgets, we're starting to see more and more sophisticated attacks because they have the time and the resources to go out and think about this at a level that I can't do by myself, William can't do by himself. They have entire teams of people trying to come up with new exploits every single day. So the goal is just start having that security in the back of your mind. Like I said at the beginning of this talk, I obsess about this 24/7. It is my life. If I can just get you to think about it half a second before you click a link, before you open an email, that's really the goal. So the choice is both. So this isn't a red pill or blue pill scenario. You need both teams working together and really driving towards the solution, because without the red team testing the blue team, you don't know how effective your blue team is, and without the blue team in place, the red team is going to run rampant over your network, and it will be a completely wasted exercise because you're just burning money at that point. So, are there any questions?
Okay, well, both of us will be outside. If anybody wants to get into the technical details of this, me and Lee do this day in, day out. More than happy to run you through it and bore you to tears.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, everybody.